Yeah, the first 3 days have been very good. It feels completely different than it did last year, and it should. We have 40 of our guys back. A lot of competition. That's really good. We had our first day in pads yesterday. You learn so much more about your guys when you're guys. So overall, it was good. We'll come back tomorrow. We have an off day today. We kind of have a third down emphasis day, the red zone emphasis day, and the scrimmage. After that first scrimmage, I know that will really be good for the coaches.
Coach, Sam Jackson compared this coming up squad to the 2017 team that ran the table. So there's something special, obviously, media day. Everyone does have that special word. What have you seen from this team to be able to make something like that happen again?
Well, first of all, Sam Jackson's been around here a long time. He was a part of that 17 team that was unbelievably special. So if he's comparing that, I think we're at least right now in a good spot, as far as potential. But potential only means, so much. And leaders like Sam, they're the key to the whole deal. We had a team meeting last night, and Sam got up and spoke about that. What do we need to do? And really, guys are rallying around him. So, there's a lot of excitement right now. Of course, there's a lot of programs, a lot of excitement. The hard work is coming now, but I really think that our guys are ready for that.
Guys, what does a guy like Kobe and Jamon, what do those guys come and bring to your receiver group, talent-wise?
Well, those two guys, they came from big-time programs. They've both done very well, so they bring in immediate experience. They're off to a good start, with our team. Everything was popping together.
Devon Baker, we saw a little bit of some social media highlights from practice, went up on top of a DB and pulled it down. How has he looked in the early going?
Yeah, he's off to a really good start, and we knew that. I recruited him at my old place. He's a very talented young man, and so we knew that he's very talented. He's got off to a really good start, as far as that goes. And he's a guy that we feel like can really help us this year.
Coach, we brought up the senior class, you mentioned it, but Anthony, Sam, Isaiah, they all said it's important for this senior class to not just leave their mark, but they want to evolve this program. That's what they want. So how do you see that leadership allowing, because success will automatically do that? So how do you see this program?
Yeah, our theme and motto is seize the moment. We know that this is a big year, and to have leaders like you're talking about, those seniors that understand that. And the great thing about our seniors is they're team-oriented, and I think that's very important for your leadership. And they understand that not just this year, it's the last year in the AAC. We got big goals and big dreams, but they also understand that this is a big season for propelling us going to the next conference and really taking that next step in the program.
Coach Malzahn, Kamori Gamble, Kobe Hudson, and Ryan O'Keefe talked about how explosive this offense could be. Can you tell us what you've seen from fall camp from those guys?
Well, I think we got talent. Anytime you have talent in multiple positions, you have a chance to be an explosive offense. We got two quarterbacks we've talked about. They're in a great competition. We think we have two guys we can really win with, which I think that's an advantage in this day and time in college football with the one-time transfer rule. So, we got the pieces of the puzzle. It's a matter of doing it. And fall camp is when you really develop your identity and really figure out who you're going to be. So offensively, we have potential, but we got to come together and got to transfer it out, on the game field.
Coach, the future is so bright for this program, and we talked about it a ton. Yeah. What is the identity of the present? What is UCF football right now?
Yeah, UCF football. I really feel like we're one of the programs on the rise. We talk about seize the moment. That's part of it. We got to seize the moment on the field, and everything is set up in place in this program. We've got a program that's won and won big before. We're in Orlando, which the best brands in the world are here. This is one of the best places to live in the world right now, too. And the NIL and everything that goes with that, everything is set up. We just got to win. We got to win on the field. Our guys understand that. And as far as the program's concerned, you see the way we're recruiting, it's going to get nothing but better if we can take care of our business on the field. So that's why we're saying seize the moment. And the great thing is, like we talked about, our seniors understand that. And so that's our challenge.
Have you liked the team captains yet?
We have, and we're going to announce the team captains next week. We have, and a little earlier than normal, and that was by design because we had so many new guys. Usually we wait till the end of fall camp, but we'll be putting those leaders out next week.
Coach, you kind of already alluded to it. We have to ask about it. The quarterback situation. Are you going to name a starter? Or are you going to keep doing this too until week 1 type thing? What's going on with that?
Yeah, we'd like to name a starter, and you would like to sooner rather than later, so you can start getting the timing down between everyone. And a lot of times too, your team knowing who that starting quarterback is really important. But we're going to wait until that happens. And my experience is, it's not like a coach decides. Usually your team knows. But the good thing about it is we got 2 guys that are in a great competition, and both of them are off to a good start. They both had a really good spring, a good summer, and both of them desperately want the job. So that's a good thing as far as depth, but we'd like to name one sooner rather than later.
Can you envision both having a responsibility in games this season? Or
I'm not ready to say that yet. I'm just kind of taking it one step at a time. We'd like to name the starter, and we'll cross that bridge, once that happens.
That's a lot of the players I spoke with today said that seeing Cincinnati get to the playoff last year kind of gives them renewed hope, renewed idea of maybe getting into it this year. You have a possibility of getting into it this year. Do you feel like that with the Bearcats kicking the door in last year maybe kind of helps set things up?
I think all the programs, top programs, the non-Power 5 this year, all have a different way of looking at it because of what happened. That's a huge challenge. You got to run the table, and that's a big challenge. But our guys have talked about it. I know that. But like I said, it's a big challenge, and you got to get it done.
Speaking of running the table,
what's the plan for the first scrimmage in terms of snap count? What do you want to accomplish in the first one?
Yeah, our first scrimmage is usually more run oriented, and we got evaluation like linebackers. These transferred linebackers, we think we got some really talented guys, but we got to find out some information in a hurry. We can't have growing pains on Saturdays, so that'll be by design. It'll be a very simple, not a lot of schemes, so we can just evaluate our guys. And I'm talking about not the guys that we already know that started for 2 or 3 years, but the guys that just got here, or the guys that are freshmen, or the guys that didn't start last year but maybe they're close. So it'll be a complete evaluation scrimmage, and hopefully we'll learn a lot about our team so we can at least start putting the pieces of the puzzle.
Coach, how do you feel like that chemistry is kind of coming along with you having a lot of transfer players kind of coming in and expecting to play big roles for you?
Yeah, I think it's going along good after 3 days. But our challenge, and I told our guys the other day, is just how quick that we can have the old group that's been here, the 16 new transfers, and the new group of freshmen, how quick that meshes. That's what it's about. And nowadays, I told our guys the other day that it'll be more important about team than ever before, because the NIL and every one-time transfer, and it's just a different day in college football. So if we can be that team that is really, really close and not be distracted by all the outside, we're going to have an advantage. And now that's a challenge for every program, but we're hitting it head on, and that's really our key, I believe, in coaching.
Because of the transfer portal, does that fall in the back of your mind now? You guys never really had to deal with that the last couple of years. Do you have to worry about them in camp?
I don't know about worry about it, but you got to be real with yourself. It's a new day in college football. Now the challenge is, keeping the integrity of what's important to your program and building that foundation, because you still got to strain your players to make them the best they possibly can be. But you got to communicate with them, I believe, more than ever, and let them know the why. But you got to be real with yourself. It's a new day in college football. You may lose some guys to the transfer portal, and you just got to be prepared for it.
What do you think about unlimited transfers? Because that was something they recently brought. I guess it's tabled for now, but it seems like it's something that coaches aren't a fan of.
Yeah, honestly, I'm taking it one step at a time. Who knows what's next? And I'm just the head coach. Whatever it is right now, we're trying to make the best of it. There's a lot of opinions, and don't like this and don't like that. I really believe the coaches, whatever their rules are, and whatever, the ones that embrace it and not whine about it, that's the ones that are going to be successful. And so whether I like something or not, this is what we have. We need to figure out the best strategy to be the best team that we can be, and really that's all that's on my mind.
Gus, you talked about matching together different groups. That speaks to player leadership in a lot of ways. How satisfied are you with that core you've got right now?
Yeah, after 3 days, it's okay. We're still, we're going to do some team bonding events tonight. We're going to do some different things as far as that goes, because that's going to be more important than anything we do. We got talent, and we're putting the piece of the puzzle. We got a pretty talented staff, but it's going to be about the team and how they can bond and how close they can get. And how our leadership steps up. That's really what it's going to be. Every championship team I've been a part of has been player-led. So that's really what we're talking about.
What's the biggest difference for you from year 1 to year 2?
Probably just understanding the big picture, this time last year, we were trying to figure out our guys, and we were still trying as a staff come together, and it just feels completely different. It should. My experience is when a head coach takes over a program, the first year there's so much learning that goes on. In the second year, it feels like your team. And so it just feels a lot more comfortable. I think our guys understand the expectation, and there's not as many roadblocks or stuff that would distract you than what it was last year.
Coach, you're already rocking the Big 12, I see on the left sleeve.
Yeah.
How do you make sure, though, that this team doesn't get ahead of themselves? You know, you still have to seize the moment, as you keep saying, this season for the American.
They're focused on this season. They're focused on the first game, and it's one game at a time. And we're not going to be distracted by anything as far as next year. And we got our hands full with our schedule. And we got some real teams on this schedule, and our guys understand that. And I don't worry at all that anybody's looking ahead.
Speaking of the Big 12, Coach, you in your press conference last year in February, you said you're a dreamer and you're a builder. How do you plan on building UCF in the Big 12 in the next 5 years? You already made a killing in the recruiting trail.
Yeah, well, it kind of goes back. We got to take care of winning this year. You win this year, all that stuff takes care of itself once you get there.
Because in the spring you were able to kind of give some rest time for guys like Bowser and not put them out there. Do you do the same sort of thing in fall camp? You try to maybe limit them a little bit just so they can stay fresh and they go into the season?
Strategically, if we got guys like Bowser, or we have some offensive linemen that started for 3 years, we got to be smart, okay? But at the same time, you got to scrimmage enough. Like, we're going to have Bowser will get tackled a few times before we get to the season. But we're trying to be very strategic, as far as our veteran guys. We had about 6 or 7 that decided to come back and could have went to the NFL. They chose to come back. We told them we're going to treat them like pros. So we'll do that in fall camp, and making sure, give them the best chance of being successful and be fresh once they get to the season.
Coach Javon was out here earlier today for media day. What would you say is the biggest thing that he's made strides in this fall?
Well, of course, I've just watched him for 3 practices. But you can tell he's got a really good skill set. You can tell he's confident. You can tell he came from a good program. So he's fitting in so far.
You like to preach to the players that we have the chance to run the table. Have the players really bought into that culture? Have they bought into that championship standard?
Yeah. When I say we got a chance, we've got talent. We got a staff, we got it set up, but it's not easy. Every time that I've been a part of having a championship team, there's always been 7 or 8 close games that come down to the last series. You got to find a way to make that play, and so it's extremely hard to do that. And I'm just trying to be real with our guys that what we've got to deal with, and we know we're going to get everybody's best shot. But I kind of like that.
Coach, I know NIL plays a big role in the recruitment trail. We're killing it right now, and a lot of recruits mentioned the great job that SJ has done. Can you speak a little bit about just kind of his role and how well he's doing?
Yeah, SJ is our chief of staff. He's my right-hand man. He's a young guy, but he's very, very good with relationships with our players. He's got a different relationship with our current players and our coaches, and they feel very comfortable, and he can relate. And I think that's really where it starts. And the NIL and everything that goes with it, he kind of understands it. He's kind of like half an influencer, half a chief of staff, so he understands that world, and he gives our guys ideas, and he's just a really good person with the recruiting trail and everything that goes with it. He's one of the rising stars, I believe, in college football, and so we're real happy to have him.
Camp is a grind. I know you said you're going to have some team building things. What are some of the stuff that maybe players can look forward to that you're going to be doing here in the next couple of weeks?
It's building relationships and getting to know each other. A lot of times you have a defense, you have an offense, and they get to know each other pretty good within their position groups, but you truly don't get to know your teammates other than on the field. So strategically, you just try to find situations where they can get to know a little bit more about them outside. So a lot of times if you can understand someone, where they're coming from or their background, it just makes you closer. And so during fall camp, you've got some extra time, and I think that'll be more important this day and time, like I was saying earlier, than in college football than ever before.
On the topic of NIL, you have Ryan O'Keefe, Bowser, and you have Jeremiah John Baptiste with their NIL deals, and they say you're a player's coach, and then multiple days you've been seen wearing their shirts. Is that like a recruiting pitch?
I don't know if it's a recruiting pitch, but I'm going to support my players. And I said last year, we're going to embrace this NIL. this is a school that is young and up and coming, doesn't have a lot of roadblocks like some of these older schools that are tradition that has a lot of politics, and we're going to embrace it. We're going to do everything for our players within the rules to market them, promote them, whatever that is. And if that helps recruiting, that's great. But really, it's about helping our players.
I know you got a lot to do day to day to get ready for the season, but when the month of August hits, I mean, how excited do you get as a coach? You've been in it a long time, but do you get an extra pep in your step thinking that, in 30 days, we're going to be playing some real games?
Yeah, usually, I flip the switch, and it's usually like the Friday before fall camp starts on Sunday. And, I usually only need about 4 hours sleep, so it just kicks in, my mind starts kicking in, and I turn into really a different person. So I always like that, and it just feels good. I'm so excited to be the head coach of these guys. I mean, I love every one of them. We got a really special group of guys that we're blessed to be able to coach. But it's kicked in, and I'm full tilt right now.
Coach, season tickets were a big deal over the summer. Can you just talk to the fact that the fans will play a role in your success this season?
Oh, I mean, we got one of the best fan bases in all of college football, and I experienced that last year. We had a couple games that we didn't play good, and they willed us to win. And so this is a real special place. There's not a lot of programs that can happen. Of course, now this next year, we need to take our level, from our program standpoint, because we know our fans are going to be right there with us.
Coach, where do you want to see this team and program by the end of the 2022 season, and both for the team and for yourself as well as an individual?
I want us to be the best version of us, whatever that means. To be the best team we possibly can be, and that's what we're working on right now.
What does the mantra "State of Orlando" truly mean to you, Coach? I see you use that a lot. State of Orlando, Orlando versus everybody. Talk to us about that.
Yeah. The state of Orlando. First of all, when we first got here, I knew that there are some of the top players in the country that are just in this area, and we got to keep our top players home and make it popular here. We put a point right in the middle of Orlando, and we went like a 40 mile radius. We just divided up. Each coach got 8 to 10, 12 schools, and nobody's going to out-recruit us for those. We're fighting hard, and there's no NFL teams in Orlando, and this is an unbelievable place. And Orlando's hometown team is kind of our motto. We truly need to seize the moment. Everyone wants to be a part of a winner, and we need to win big, and we need to be more inclusive. So we're trying to get ourselves out in the community, and just really want to give. You can be fans of another team, but I'd love for Orlando to really embrace this bunch and can be fans of us too. So that's kind of our big picture, and that was kind of the big picture plan when I took the job. And you can see we're getting closer and closer with that. But I'm just trying to get out and meet as many of the leaders around the community, and it's been great getting to know those people. But the bottom line is we got to win, and if we win, everything is set up.
I know Terry's got some non-conference scheduling to fill later on in the decade. Do you have much input there? I know sometimes it's at the AD level in college football, but do you have a scheduling philosophy?
Yeah. First of all, Terry is the best, and we communicate all the time about schedule. But honestly, we inherited a schedule, and the challenge is that we're going in a new conference, and then you got what you got. Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's not. We've had trouble, and we're trying to play some of the so-called big boys. Some of them don't want to play. So it's really a challenge as far as schedule. He's doing a great job within that, but we communicate, on a weekly basis, what that looks like in the future.
Could you see yourself scheduling some of the other big schools, like maybe like a Jackson State or Grambling with Hugh Jackson and Deion Sanders maybe down the line in the non-conference schedule?
Yeah, we'll see. Like I said, a lot of our schedule is already intact. We were thinking more along the lines of some of the high-profile teams right there, but we're going into a new conference, so we're trying to strategically, look at what is best for us moving forward.
Gus, you had Dante here talking to the players, and was there anything about Dante's story that maybe stood out to you that kind of you didn't know about, or maybe kind of touched you in a way?
Yeah, I didn't know that he got drafted by the New York Yankees. He could have went straight to me. I think he turned down $250,000, to play college football. And I've always been a Dante Culpepper fan. I know our staff is too. So it was a really big deal, not just for our players, right, but for our coaches too. And he did a wonderful job, just being real and talking about his time here. And he's one of the guys. He's up on our wall, and he's one of the top guys, if not the most recognizable guy that ever played here. So it was a really big moment. We're asking him to be one of our honorary captains or honorary coaches during the season. So we're hoping that happens.
Speaking of notable alumni, you also had Dante Culpepper, you had Mackenzie Milton, you had Gabe Davis on campus. Tell us how important it is to have notable UCF alumni like that back on campus.
Yeah, I mean, we want all of our former players to feel comfortable when they're here. And of course, Gabe Davis, he works out here during the summer, and he's around our players. And I just think it's very important that your former players, former alumni, NFL players are around our players and feel comfortable being here, and we're all in this thing together. And that's a great thing about this program is, that they're a really close bunch, and we're a young school, which is really cool too, and we're building it all together, so it feels really good.
Dante Culpepper broke a lot of records here, but it seemed like he was maybe before his time a little bit. Let's see where offenses eventually came, and you were a big part of that. How do you think he would have done it in your offense? Look at his.
I don't think there's an offense he wouldn't have done good in. I mean, he was unbelievable. He can create, he can make things happen, he can run it, he can throw it. He was a factor. I know at Auburn they still talk about when UCF came there and they barely won and how good he was. All right, anything else?
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it. Thank you,
Coach.
Coach.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it.